Hey Zen fam, I want to come at an old argument, but in a new way. You know how, like, for many years, the argument has raged back and forth about game length and its correlation to game value. Well, there's something there's something I want to consider within this particular debate. Where, as we understand it, people go, oh, the game is too short, there's not enough to do, ergo it's not worth the money they're asking, to the opposite end of the spectrum, where the game is bloated, there's too much on the map, it's a distraction, the gameplay is fed bare, literally it's a series of fetch quests and a collectathon. And it's more towards the second end of that spectrum that I would like to discuss with you in this particular video. You see, we have a term that has been floated around for a good few years now, and that term is the ubification of games. Obviously, mostly in terms of Ubisoft titles. You see it most commonly with the likes of Assassin's Creed, where you get up to your eagle viewpoint, you have that panoramic swing around of the camera, another section of the map is opened up, and when it opens up, you see icons of things you can go do and collect and interact with. This is also followed through in, say, the Far Cry games, where you climb to the top of the radio tower, and the radio tower gives you information about the surrounding area, and you see more stuff on the map to go see, do, and interact with. Same with Watch Dogs. All those games, you get to a CTOS point, and voila, the same thing again. And other games do this. Even the mighty Ghost of Tsushima did this. Other games have followed this model and make good use of it. And it is useful from a gameplay mechanic and somewhat even to the storytelling aspect of being able to open up areas of the map and therefore open up story opportunities. And of course, the gameplay mechanic of being able to find better gear because that area of the map is open, and once you have the better gear, then you're able to beat the things in areas that are a higher level, thus making you stronger for the last ever mission, the last ever boss. The progression of the character, these things are important. It's what makes a game move forward, is the fact that it steps up, and in turn you step up with it. You become more adept at the game, you become more powerful in the game, to the point where you can beat the game. But if the game is too short, then obviously, the game doesn't have these things in it, then the game is seen to be lacking. Case in point, take a game like The Order 1886. Even to this day, in 2023, you can look back at The Order 1886 and it still looks really nice. And the game flows really well. The movement is excellent. The cutscenes are beautiful. The story is intriguing. The facial animation of the characters still stands up in a lot of ways. It's not perfect, but it still stands up. The game is good, albeit about if you really just go full out, you can finish The Order 1886 in about 5-6 hours if you really push it. And that's not a bad thing. There are people, who are like me, who work for a living, and a lot of those people prize the idea of being able to complete a game a bit quicker. Yeah? I mean, if you've got this 100 to 200 hour epic in front of you, but you're lucky if you can see 3 to 5 hours of gaming a week, you can see how that becomes daunting to most people, and they'll buy these games, but then they'll never play them. They'll never really truly experience them, or they'll play them at a surface level and then give up before they get any distance in. I mean, like behind me is Assassin's Creed Valhalla, and Assassin's Creed Valhalla is famous for being a truly massive game. I mean, I'm over 200 hours into this sucker, and the fact of the matter is, I haven't been able to find out how to get into the last 10% of story. I have poured over 200 hours in. My Eivor is crazy powerful, you know. I have been everywhere. Every part of the map is friendly to me, you know. I've done so much stuff. I've got all my gear at its top level, you know. It's all mythic gear, you know. It's like I'm pretty much as strong as I can make Eivor. Now I'm just fiddling with the edges, but I don't know how to get into that last 10% of story. So it feels like the game is never ending. And, you know, I have found some of the collectibles, and I've finished some of the collectibles. Like, I found all the Roman masks. Yeah. And I'm just basically going around the map, finishing things up, and then hopefully something will trigger and I get to finish it off. I'm kind of hoping that also, once there's a couple of there's like one building that, as far as I'm aware, I've got it built, but maybe I need to upgrade it. But even then, I'm not sure it's going to do it. So it all comes down to, you know, if you take all this stuff out, your game is too short. There's not enough to do, but the game can be, you know, the aspect that the dev team can work on, can really work on the world and the characters and the story, and thus make a far more engaging experience, or it swings completely the other way, and you have a game that's loaded with a million things to see and do and experience, but there's so many that you never see the story, or that you see, or because you want to try and experience the game as best as possible, you feel like there's not enough story to go around because the game is so overly laden with these optional extras that to some players never feel optional. But with all this stuff in, it increases the sense of value to the game, because you feel that like you've gotten to do lots of things, you've gotten to experience multiple facets of a virtual world. You've played through an experience where you have really embodied the reality that your character lives within. So is it really, I don't know, how do we get to some sort of middle ground? How do developers get to a middle ground where they can release a game where the story is just as compelling and deep as it could ever hope to be, but the gameplay, the systems, the world, the extras to do, the slice of life, the extras to make the character more your own and have your own adventure, and you know have a little bit extra things to do to make the game have more life and have more texture, you know? How do you balance those out and make sure that a game comes out and, you know, it's just this complete experience? But then, will devs ever make a complete experience ever again, considering we now live in an age of downloadable content and continual patching? Back in the day, when a game came out, it came out and that was it. Everything up to about the PlayStation 2, the game would come out and that was it. There wasn't updates or anything. The game just came out. And if there were bugs, there were bugs. And then people would hear about the bugs and the game wouldn't sell. So developers had to make sure that they did everything they could to make the game work as well as they possibly could. And sometimes those limitations brought about some of the best in gaming, which is definite food for thought. So, next time you complain that the game is too short and there's not enough to do, also remember that also there'll be times when you complain that there's too much to do and the game is too long. Can't please all the people all the time. And if you have any ideas as to how to solve this particular conundrum, in that comment section, I'm all ears. I really am. Because I think we've come to a position where no matter what the devs do, they can never do it right. They either put too much in, too much side stuff, there's too much to do, or they don't put in enough, and you fire accusations at I just gave you 60 quid of my money and the game was over in 30 hours. Think about that, alright? How much do you spend when you go to the cinema, right? You could probably spend anywhere from 10 to 15 quid for one film, okay? Let's be generous. Let's say you went to go see the remake of Dune when it came out. You're going to a film, it's better part of 3 hours long. You've paid 15 quid. And that's the film, one time, linear experience, A to B, single viewing. Whilst the game, you can play that again, you can play it a different way, depending on the game obviously. And not only can you play that game, but you can also trade that game, or you can stream that game. There are multiple ways to enjoy a video game, even if it is a short one. And if it's short, then that means, as I said before, the development team can put more importance upon the aesthetics and the feel of the game. So therein lies the question, do you want aesthetics or do you want stuff to do? Ideally you'd like a mesh of the both, but that so seldom ever happens. I think that definitely warrants a good bit of typey down below. Let them bloke know action. And if you have any good responses, then you'll get a short response from me. And I mean short as in video short, not as in, oh, very good type. Okay guys, hashtag support Scottish YouTubers. And of course, as always, aye, no bother.